I've never been in this spot, and I'm not going to act like I know what the hell I'm going to do tomorrow when they get in here. So we're gonna do what we always do. We're going to represent the Packers the right way. I know that. So other than that, we'll focus on what's in front of us.
That was Mike McCarthy, the coach of the Green Bay Packers, after the 20-17 loss to the Arizona Cardinals at home. After going 4 out of 5 on the road, losing all 4 of the road games, they come back to their sanctuary against a bad team that isn't accustomed to playing December football out in the elements, and the Packers lose the game, and Mike McCarthy loses his job. And we were watching that game, Chris. Aaron Rodgers looked disinterested the whole game. I think he looked even less interested with his beard and mustache gone.
Right.
He was misfiring passes in that last drive. They somehow got in position for the game-tying field goal. Every out route that he threw was off the mark, it seemed like. Yeah, and to the point where we were wondering, is he injured?
Yeah.
And it just had to happen. We talked about it on Football Night in America last week. We could see it coming. It's been building. And the Packers decide, instead of just treading water for the next 4 weeks, let's go ahead and make the move and give Mike McCarthy a head start on his next job, give us a head start on finding our next coach.
Yeah, I mean, really yesterday was, to steal our favorite word from our producer, Matt Casey, I mean, a microcosm of the argument of what's been going on.
It's your favorite word.
It's my favorite word now. But a microcosm of everything we've been talking about with the Green Bay Packers for the last 3 or 4 years. It all came to the top yesterday against the Arizona Cardinals, like you said, who were a 2-9 football team entering the game. And really all the talk we've had about the struggling offense and not being able to get Rodgers help or make anything easy on him, there was nothing there to be had. Yeah, he certainly wasn't on his total A-plus game. I get that. But offense is just too hard in Green Bay right now. It's hard as far as the talent's not that great. And then, two, like I've always complained, the schematical issues they have with their offense, they're very elementary on that side. And I think the Green Bay brass and people had finally seen enough. And you know, I guess the only thing I'm a little torn between, like, it is good they get on with it and then they can start getting onto their coaching search. But I do, like, echo the sentiments of a guy like Tony Dungy last night who goes, this guy won a Super Bowl for you. He's been to the playoffs.
Whoa,
No,
wait a minute. You've been openly calling for the guy to get fired.
I'm not saying...
You're feeling guilty now, aren't you?
No, I'm not feeling guilty. I'm just saying I get the argument of people being shocked by him being fired right now during the season. I get it. I think I would have made this move too if I was the GM of the Green Bay Packers, but I understand the other side of it going, you know, it just doesn't look good business-wise. But I do think it was time to move on. They can start reaching out the back channels to agents and things like that and start to get a feel for offensive coaches or coaches in general that want to be the head coach there in Green Bay.
It's got to be an offensive coach.
I mean, I would think so. That's why I said that, right.
You've got to get somebody who is going to work with Aaron Rodgers for the remainder of his career. They've already made the financial commitment to Aaron Rodgers. Right. They're not going to get a new quarterback.
No.
So it's got to be somebody who is handpicked with one job. Get the most out of Aaron Rodgers. And you know who I think that ideal candidate is.
I don't.
I thought we talked about this.
I don't think we did. I'd like to hear this.
I think it's Bruce Arians.
You think it's Bruce Arians?
Because Bruce Arians comes back for 4 or 5 years, right? And Bruce, you need somebody who can get through to Aaron Rodgers, who knows how to push his buttons, right? Who show up with a bottle of scotch and say, let's drain this thing, baby, and let's start figuring out a playbook.
I got you.
But I just feel like there's a certain – because I guarantee you, in the coming weeks, there will be reports from unnamed sources close to the situation.
Sure.
Sharing details about how difficult Aaron Rodgers is to coach.
Yeah.
Right? And unless Mike McCarthy is capable of completely and totally holding his tongue, not venting to any of his friends in the business, any of his agents, anybody he knows, because what he says to somebody is potentially going to end up being repeated to someone else. But, you know, Aaron Rodgers doesn't pay attention in meetings. Aaron Rodgers has this bemused look on his face when we're trying to get through to him what he needs to do. Aaron Rodgers resists coaching. I'm not saying that any of that is true. I'm just saying I'm going to be watching for that.
Yeah.
Because McCarthy needs to push back against the perception that it's all his fault.
Right.
And we saw a little of it last week.
Yeah.
Couple of takes last week pushing back against Rodgers. And I think that this next month gives McCarthy
the leeway
4
to do
different
it.
Sundays to be doing it, where Rodgers is focused on playing football games. McCarthy gets a chance to rehab himself as he tries to become a candidate for maybe that Cleveland Browns job, something you had been saying for months that that's where he's going to end up next year.
I thought there was a chance. I'm not sitting here trying to say I'm the oracle of the future or anything like that. But connecting the dots and
it's better than being the oracle of the past.
It is.
That job's a lot easier.
It's a lot easier. Right? It kind of just tells itself. But either way, I don't want to sit here and blame Mike McCarthy for every issue in the history of the Green Bay Packers or the last few years. Hey, I'll be the first one to say it's not like the team has been just overflowing with talent on either side of the ball. I mean, this last year is the first year we saw them really do anything aggressive in the first round, a little bit aggressive in free agency. It sounds like that's going to change. So the talent level wasn't great. But I think ultimately what gets Mike McCarthy fired is games like this where we all know how talented Aaron Rodgers is. And there was just too many games over the last 4 or 5 years where it just looks too hard. Oh, his completion percentage is down. Yeah, I get that. But did we watch the Sunday night football game last week against Minnesota? He was under duress the whole game. He had to throw the ball away like 10 times. So, of course, his completion percentage is down when you're under duress like that.
What do we make of the fact that Aaron Rodgers has such a ridiculously high rate of throwaways?
Yeah.
Is that an indictment of the offense? Is that, it's another crap play, I'm just going to throw the ball away?
I think so. I mean, when we're talking about a guy who is one of the most precise passers we've ever seen, takes care of the ball as good as anybody we've ever seen, can escape trouble as much as anybody we've seen, and yet he has to throw those balls away, I think tells you. That was why I was saying a little bit like 2 weeks ago, it's going to be a different year. I don't think he can carry the squad because their pass protection is not there like it was in years past. At least in years past, they let him sit back there and he could buy time and make magic and get in that zone you always talk about that he gets into.
He seems to do that more frequently when he does have to move, though. When you see him make throws on the run,
sure,
that's how he slides into that zone.
No doubt. And he has not been able to do that as much this year.
Those close-ups that you see, they're so telling because you can tell when he's not. We can read body language.
Sure.
We can see when someone's not interested. I can tell you're barely interested today.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
You're very interested. But we would see, and once he starts stringing together throws and building momentum, he gets a more clear focus, and you can just see it. Yesterday, it was obvious he was not into the game, and without the beard and mustache, you could read his lips a lot more easily, and he was saying some of your words, your favorite words, not microcosm. Trust me. I think it reached a point where the Packers realized they had to do something. Even if Rodgers didn't lobby for it, didn't say anything to anybody about it, the evidence was obvious something needed to happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, yes, it had to happen. How many, we just had too many years here in recent history of limping into the playoffs, relax, we got to go on a run to get in. And I like to remind everybody, relax, and we got to go on a run to get in. The NFC North has not been anything great the last 10 years. So let's just remember that, too. It's not like they've been beating down Super Bowl champions in the NFC North. The NFC North hasn't had a team go to the Super Bowl other than the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers, really. So, I just think all those issues kind of came to a head. And again, the thing I always fight about, and I'm an Aaron Rodgers apologist, and I love him, and I try to keep as unbiased as I possibly can when I evaluate quarterbacks. I'm just telling you that we see a lot of his struggles, and I think he is sitting back there and he finally got to his wits end and he goes, man, I'm just sick of watching some of these other quarterbacks throw to people wide open 25 yards down the middle of the field a few times a game, and every throw I got to make is into the tightest, closest window we've ever seen, and I got to hit the bullseye every time, and it's just become too much with the lack of scheme, not great talent this year, and it all kind of came to a head.
So what scheme would you design for Aaron Rodgers?
Well, I mean, any scheme, he's capable of doing any scheme, right? I mean,
what's the
all
best
the great quarterbacks are. Hey, I would love, my mind ultimately right away goes to Josh McDaniels, New England Patriots, that type of scheme where, they do a little bit of everything, but they have a great little quick, short passing game too, where he can dart it out of his hand at time, and then they have everything else you need in an offense to, of course, keep you honest. But that is always the scheme I think about right off the bat to go, that'd be really interesting to see him and execute that and all the nuances that Brady has mastered over the last 18, 19 years.
So McDaniels gets the job and calls you to be the quarterback's coach.
I'm out of here.
The buffer between him and Aaron Rodgers, because you'll know how to talk to Aaron Rodgers and get the most out of him.
I will.
You can be the Rich Gannon.
I might take less if that's the case. I might just go, okay, let's go. I'm out of here. The hell with Florio. Let's go, Rodgers.
But that really is going to be the challenge. And, I put a question on Twitter earlier in the hour, which job is more attractive between the Packers and the Browns?
It's a good question.
And a year ago, we would have scoffed and laughed.
Right.
But now with Baker Mayfield in Cleveland and Aaron Rodgers, Baker Mayfield on the front end of his career,
right.
Aaron Rodgers on the back end of his career,
right.
I don't know which one I'd rather have.
I think it's really close when you add into the fact of guys, like Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward and some of the young talent that Cleveland does have kind of coming up the ranks. That's exciting. Nick Chubb, Callaway at receiver. I mean, you go through the list and you start to go, man, Cleveland's got some young studs that certainly could be something in the next few years.
Kareem Hunt next year. We'll talk about that coming up.
And you look at Green Bay and you go, Green Bay is, again, I think we're at this point because Rodgers has salvaged the roster and the team so many years in a row. You go, what do we really hang our hat on? I mean, an offensive line that's kind of patchy, a defensive line that we see is not really dominant, especially when Mike Daniels is in there. You got some young secondary guys. That's a good thing. Receiver-wise, okay, it's Devontae Adams and who else? I mean, Randall Cobb's been banged up a lot over the last few years, so there's certainly more work to do as far as building the roster in Green Bay right now.
It is odd, though, and maybe it's a product of the longevity. Mike McCarthy served in that role longer than anyone other than Curly Lambeau, I think. I mean, it's ridiculous. 13th week of his 13th year. But, when Brett Favre, after he goes to back-to-back Super Bowls in 96 and 97 and then isn't back for the rest of his tenure with the team, there wasn't that same, they're wasting Brett Favre.
Yes.
They're wasting Brett Favre. And maybe they were just thrilled to finally have a team that could get back to the Super Bowl and win it. They bring the trophy back home, and everything after that is gravy. But there's been a greater sense of impatience over the past several years than there was in the latter years of Brett Favre's time with the Packers. I don't know the answer to the question. I'm just pointing out it seems like McCarthy's had more heat on him for not getting Rodgers back to a Super Bowl than the prior coaches had on them for not getting Brett Favre.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I think also, too, I mean, I give Mike McCarthy credit because I think a little bit of that conversation is the way he started out the career and molded Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he kind of got Brett Favre. Brett Favre went through that little series early in his 2000s where he just was total gunslinger. I mean, throw it into triple coverage, throw it into quadruple coverage. I don't care, but it's awesome on highlights, and it might be a touchdown one play, but it might be 4 picks the next week. He got a little into that. Aaron Rodgers, as we've seen here, McCarthy kind of got that out of Brett Favre at the very end before he went to Minnesota. And I think what's happened is we've seen Aaron Rodgers be one of the most accurate passers in the history of the sport, the greatest touchdown to interception ratio we've ever seen. He does a lot of things the right way, and we've watched enough games now to go, oh, wait, he's playing really good, and they've only thrown for 200 yards or 180 yards, and he's doing a lot and doing the most he can to get that 180 yards. And I think when the football world continually watches that on film and you watch it on TV, you just go, yeah, there's something wrong there. There's something missing within that offense.
And I think at a more fundamental level, and I hate to say this, and all due respect to Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers is better than Brett Favre.
He is.
And I think that's why there's been more blame on those around Aaron Rodgers. How can you not get back to a Super Bowl when you have Aaron Rodgers, a guy who is capable of making some of the greatest single throws we've ever seen, not in a Super Bowl.
Right.
And we've been robbed of the chance to see what this guy can do in a Super Bowl. We went back and looked at Super Bowl 45. Some of the throws he made in Super Bowl 45 were incredible.
Insane.
All right, we got to take a break. When we return, it was an insane, crazy day at MetLife Stadium. It was a trap game for the Bears, and they stepped right into it. We'll break down Bears-Giants right after this on PFT Live.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.